Hello Artnerds! So today I am going to walk you through how to draw a bee on coneflowers using Strathmore toned blue paper. We're going to begin with a graphite sketch. I blocked it out into thirds so that I could place my coneflowers along one of the main focal points. And I'm sketching this in very lightly with pencil, sketching in the major forms first and then tightening things up as I go along. I'm sketching in the petals with just kind of a skeletal form first that I'm going to flesh out later. And I'm sketching out the bee using constructive anatomy, kind of a circle for the head, a bit of a block for the torso, and then for the tail, kind of an elongated cone. And you guys can learn more about constructive anatomy here on this channel. I firmly believe that with enough practice and study, anyone of any age can learn how to draw. So you guys can see I started by fleshing out the foreground first, and then I work my way backwards. The reference photo I'm using has a stone wall in the background. I haven't even gotten to that point though. That's saved for last as I kind of decide how I want my composition to look. The full tutorial, including a copy of the reference photo and step-by-step instructions on how to complete this piece, will be available to my Artnerds as well as available for purchase on Gumroad. And you guys can find links in the description down below. This tutorial was recorded to help me prepare for one of my alcohol marker classes taught through the Nashville Plaza. I am teaching classes with them all the way through February, so even if you miss this particular class, there will be other opportunities in the future. Classes are $25 and include materials and, of course, instruction by me. Next, I'm inking this piece with a Sakura Pigma FB. It's a very fine brush pen, and it is alcohol and waterproof. It's one of my favorite brush pens to use. If you guys are interested in more tutorials like this, I have 3 more flower tutorials in this series, as well as several other marker and watercolor tutorials here on this channel. So if you're not a subscriber yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us. So you see I am using a white sheet of paper as a blotter paper. It's to help prevent the graphite from smearing and getting all over the place. And you guys can see I'm rotating the paper as I go so I can get the best angle for my wrist. If you're new to inking, I highly recommend that you twist and turn the paper so that you can pull the best curves possible, and try to pull your strokes in one stroke. If you guys are interested in taking classes with me in person, I teach in Nashville and I also teach in Louisiana. And you guys can find a link in my description below where you can sign up for my class mailing list. If you're just interested in learning more about the behind-the-scenes life of a comic artist and illustrator, I have a mailing list for that as well. You can find links to both in the description. I also want to point out that this tutorial is not going to be a step-by-step narration. I am going to go through all of the steps, but later on I'm going to make no attempt for the steps to match up with what's actually going on in the motion itself. And the reason for that is I have it all written down in a transcript, and it's actually very difficult for me to match the timing up with the descriptions with the numbers. So I apologize if that's frustrating or an inconvenience for you. I do have other tutorials here on this channel where I do either narrate during live time as I'm actually working on the piece. I narrate what I'm doing, or I have tutorials where it's time-lapse like this one, but I'm narrating what I'm doing. But I've found that for the really in-depth ones, it's just very difficult for me to do time-lapse and include color names and include exactly what I'm doing. But hopefully, as you guys see me actually enact the motions, you'll understand what I'm doing and what's going on. So I allowed the piece to dry for 24 hours and then I erased it with a very soft vinyl eraser. I recommend that you swatch your colors on the same color paper as you intend on using for the final piece for color accuracy. Since we're using tone blue mixed media paper, I used a scrap of tone blue mixed media paper. So I want you guys to keep in mind that we are working on a mid-tone surface, so we're concentrating on adding shadows or color to the background stones with the tone blue as our base color. So apply C3 to the largest, lightest stone, delineating your shadows. Add in C6 to create darker shadows, blending out as necessary. Apply PB27 for hints of moss. For the darker stones in the background, add shading with C3. This will cover more of the stones. Sketch in additional stones with C3 if you wish. Add shadow with C6 and begin sketching in moss with PB27. While PB27 is still wet, add in darker shadows to moss with YG46 and G46. Add as much or as little detail to the rock wall as you wish. I recommend going stone by stone for this part. It also helps to go back and reevaluate your finished stones once they've dried and decide to add details and color. So for the cracks between the stones, carefully fill in the cracks between stones with C10. As you add color and create contrast, you may wish to revisit finished portions and adjust color and detail. Apply 1110 to darkest part of shadows between cracks to stone. I also want to point out that I have a list of all the colors used in the description below, as well as links to the full transcript if you're interested in working along at your own pace. For the flower stems, apply PB27 to stems and smaller leaves. Apply Y19 and YR09, leaving gaps in application. Layer PB27 on top of those. Add layer of PB27 to leaves. Apply YG09 to parts of stems and leaves. For the background leaves, apply an all-over fill of G00 and allow to dry. Apply G05 to shaded parts of leaves and veins and blend out with G00. Apply layer of YG09 and blend out with G00 as necessary. Apply G16 to shadows and background. Blend out with YG09 as necessary. Apply PB37 to shadows and background of leaves and apply PB45 to darkest shadows. Now you guys saw me switch colors midway through, and that is because one of my G's, I believe it was either G05 or G16, started to run dry, so I switched it out for G17. You guys are encouraged to swatch your own colors and decide which colors are best for you. For this tutorial, I am using Copic markers and Prismacolors, but the methods I'm showing you guys would work for any brush tip alcohol marker, so feel free to use your preferred marker. Flower petals. Apply RV23 to all petals. Using long strokes, reliant on the brush tip, apply RV14 to base and center of petal, following the petals in the photo. In a similar motion but covering lots of the petal, apply RV06. Once dry, apply RV29 to help build up color and shadow. Apply PB59 towards base of petal and in shadows. Apply RV19 to shadows. Apply FV2 to cool petals down and add blue shadows. And you may wish to use less of the FV2 since the color of the paper is already so desaturated. So for the bee, you're going to apply Y08 to the thorax of the bee and dab in Y38 and apply it to the wing and allow both of these to dry. Apply C10 then and then 110 to the head and the rest of the body. Apply E49 to the base of the wing and then blend it out with Y38. So the color pencils we're using for this are Supracolor II Lemon Yellow, Supracolor II Orange, Derwent Inktense Tangerine, Derwent Inktense Scarlet Pink, Derwent Inktense India Ink, Albrecht Durer Light Magenta, Albrecht Durer Magenta, Derwent Inktense Thistle, Derwent Inktense Dark Purple, Derwent Inktense Iron Green, Derwent Inktense Deep Indigo, Derwent Inktense Antique White. And we are also using a Winsor & Newton Pigment White Blender. This is going to add a little bit of white opacity, and you can build this up over layers. So multiple applications will add more white. Your first layer, it's going to seem like no white went down at all. So apply Winsor & Newton White Blender Marker as base white highlight to lightest background rocks and leaves. It may take a couple of layers to build up enough to be noticeable and allow for this to dry. You can then apply your watercolor pencils on top of this because it is an alcohol-based marker, so it's going to be non-water soluble. So apply Supracolor II Lemon Yellow to B to apply yellow highlight to B's yellow fuzz. Apply Supracolor II Orange around exterior of Coneflowers center. Apply Derwent Inktense Tangerine at base of Supracolor II Orange. If you wish, you may blend this out with water to soften the transition and allow to dry. Apply Derwent Inktense Scarlet Pink. To deepen the brown on your flower center, apply Derwent Inktense India Ink to heart of flower center. To lighten flower petals, apply Derwent Albrecht Durer Light Magenta. If you wish, you can blend this out with water to soften the transition. Allow to dry. Apply Albrecht Durer Magenta to shadows. If you wish, blend it out. If you still wish to add shadows, you can also add Derwent Inktense Thistle and Derwent Inktense Dark Purple. Apply Derwent Inktense Iron Green to background leaves to create shadows. Blend out with water if you wish. Apply Derwent Inktense Deep Indigo to accentuate shadows. You can also add it to background stones if you wish. To add white highlights, use Derwent Inktense Antique White, particularly on the leaves. Blend out if desired. If you'd like to use color pencils rather than watercolor pencils, you can spray a spray fixative. Krylon makes a matte spray, it's either Krylon or 3M, makes a matte spray fixative that works fairly well, but it is going to make the colors appear darker. But it's going to add a tooth to your paper that this mixed media paper really lacks, and then you'll be able to apply a really nice solid layer of color pencil on top of this. The reason I didn't go that route is I wanted to be able to blend out my watercolor and my water-soluble pencils, and I felt that adding a toothed surface would affect the water solubility. But really, that's up to you and what you have on hand. To add further white highlights, you can also add gouache to this piece. I'm using M. Graham's titanium white gouache and a really fine watercolor brush. Alright, so there we have it. We have finished this piece. I do want to disclose to you guys that this was sped up multiple times to get it under the 30-minute mark. It really took me about 5 hours to complete this piece. So if you're working on this, give yourself plenty of time. This is kind of a longer illustration. Put on some chill music, relax, enjoy your afternoon. Don't try to get it done in 25 minutes because that's just not possible. I sped it up because YouTube really prefers shorter pieces, more concise pieces, and really just to kind of give you guys an overview of what I'm doing so that you guys have the confidence to do it yourself. You can also at any point rewatch parts of this video or pause this video so that you can work along. And if you guys have any questions that are not answered by the description or are not answered in the linked doc, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments or email me or pop in during one of my Power Hour art streams on Fridays and ask specific questions. I'm here to help. But really, if you're in the Nashville area or if you live in Louisiana, the best way to learn is to come take one of my classes, and you can find out about my classes by signing up for the mailing list down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was made possible thanks to the generosity of my wonderful patrons over on Patreon, patreon.com/NattoSoup. I want to thank them so much for their help and support. Bye guys!